Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Carter, and I'm one of the TAs for MSB 341 Product Management. And I put together a little walkthrough tutorial to help you guys get more familiar with Mendix and help you build your first app. So, just to get started, I wanted to show you guys the template that I'll be using. So right here, this is just in my Chrome browser. This is the template that I made that we'll just be working off of. So this app that we're going to be building is just a really, really simple kind of like rate my professor type app, but just for BYU. And I'm hoping that in this tutorial that you'll become more familiar with how Mendix's microflows and nanoflows work, how to set up a good looking app and add all of the functionality that you'll be needing to make your own app. And so uh, if you guys want to follow along in this tutorial, you can download this app that I made from Learning Suite and use it to follow along. So let's get started. In this video, it's going to be really simple. I'm just going to go through Mendix's platform's layout and all the different things that you'll need to know for this tutorial, and then also for how to make your own app, what types of things you'll need to know within here. So we'll just be mostly focusing on the layout of the app in this video. So let's just get started. Let's first look at the left-hand side here, and I'm just going to walk through what each of these different little options are, and then hopefully give you some better ideas of how to structure your own app. Oh, and I should mention that if you guys have already completed most of the Rapid Developer course, then you'll probably be familiar with a lot of this, but hopefully it'll be good review and maybe fill in some of the gaps in your learning. So to start, this panel here on the left is filled with a couple different drop downs, and each of these drop downs are just called modules. And so modules within your app are just places where Mendix puts similar logic. So you have an app module, a system module, and a main module in this app. And the app module here, if we expand this drop down, this is where Mendix puts a lot of different logic related to the overall structure of the app. So, for example, the settings here, you can configure a lot of things that are kind of app level type things. We won't need to worry about that very much in this tutorial. Security is where you'll go to configure different roles in your project. Most of you probably won't need to worry about this, but if you did want some sort of different type of user roles in your project, maybe like a user and admin role, that's where you could go to configure that. And so that's just the security here. Navigation, this will be really helpful once we get going on our project. In our app right now, as you can see, there's really not much going on, but this right here is like a navigation bar. And so when we add different options down here in this navigation page, we can automatically add in different pages where Mendix can route to. So this will be really helpful once we build out our app. So we'll revisit this later on. And then I'll just really briefly touch on these two down here. Styling is where you can go to configure custom CSS for your project. Now, if you don't know what that means, that's totally fine. But if you do have any web development experience, then CSS is really important, and it's just a way to add custom styling to your app. So that can all be found in this folder down here. So if you want to check that out, feel free. But if you don't want to, no worries at all. This right here, we probably won't need to worry about too much in this tutorial, but marketplace modules are just modules that you can import from Mendix's like cloud. Basically, like if people have made their own modules that they maybe like that you want to use, you can just import them here and use them in your own project. So this is really helpful if you have some sort of some sort of really common logic that a lot of other apps use, maybe like login or some sort of things like that. You can just import them from the marketplace. And so I don't know if we'll dive into that, but just so you know, that is what the marketplace modules are. And then this system module right here, you don't even have to worry about. This is just Mendix's default generated settings for the back end. And so this is, yeah, you can not worry about this. Main module here is where we'll be doing most of our work. And the main module is where you'll build out your own database and add your own pages and microflows and nanoflows. And so we'll be doing most of our work in this module right here. In the next video, we'll be talking about how to build your own database, your own domain model, and how to make your own logic for this project. And so that will be a really important part to help you just structure your own app to really understand what this domain model is and how to configure it. And then down here, the settings, security, we probably don't have to worry about that for now. But this layouts and home page, this is just in the default or in the template that I gave you guys. This home page right here is just what you're seeing right here. And so let's dive into this center screen right here. So like I mentioned, this is where you can view the pages of your app and how they're rendered in the browser, which is really helpful. If you want to preview how they look on different sizes of screen, like you can click like desktop, tablet, mobile, pretty helpful to help you view that. And then this right here is also very helpful. This right here just toggles between, well, it's not doing it right now, but once you have more containers and different building blocks in your project, this is where you can toggle to see like how many different building blocks you have like that. And so, for example, in this project right now, all we have is a container, which you can see right here as well. You have the page and then the container, and then we have some text and some other text. And so that's all that's going on in this page right now. So yeah, that's this center view, and this will be really helpful as you design your app. And then down here, you don't have to worry about most of this. The only thing I will mention really briefly is this errors tab. This is really important to know because if you have any issues in your project, then Mendix will display the errors that you have in this drop down or in this tab right here. And so because I have 0 errors, I can run my project. If I did have errors, I'd have to fix them before I could run them or run the project locally and see like my app in the web browser. So just make sure that you resolve your errors quickly, otherwise you won't be able to see your project in the browser. All right, moving on to the right side right here. So we have 2 tabs up here. So let's just briefly touch on what these are. The first one, this properties tab, in here, this is just where you can configure a lot of the different settings for each individual building block in your project. So for example, here we have this text, my new app. Let's just say we want to change this to say, I love BYU, yay. So if I click save, then you can see it just automatically updates right here. And so this is kind of just where you can configure a lot of those settings for each individual block. So if I click between different blocks, you'll see that the properties panel changes. Now, next up is the styling. And same thing, this is all relative to the block that you have selected. This is where you can change a lot of the different styling of that individual block. So if I wanted to make this text bold, you just click that and you'll see, oh, now it's bold. And so all of these just allow you to kind of customize the styling of those building blocks. Now, last up right here, the toolbox. This is also very important. In here, we have widgets and building blocks. And these are just the blocks that you'll use to build out your app. And so we'll dive into a lot of these during this tutorial, how to use them and how to configure them. But let's just say I wanted to add another container. I could just drag it over here, and now you see I have another container right below this one. And so that's kind of how you can structure your app. And then the last thing here, building blocks are more like like just styling things or style widgets. So that makes it easier to style your app really quickly. But yeah, that's basically it for the layout of Mendix. And so the last thing I'll really touch on really briefly are these 2 buttons up here. This green play button, this allows you to start and stop your server. So what that means is if you want to see what your app looks like in the browser, then you would be able to see, or you would be able to just start it right here. So run your app locally. So we'll just let that run really quick. And usually it takes a minute depending on how many changes you've made. But while that's loading, that's the start button. This is the stop button that just shuts down your server. So it'll stop running it in the browser. So you just have to restart it every once in a while so that it refreshes the changes. But most of the time, it'll do it pretty automatically. And it looks like it's almost done starting. Once the app is up and running in the browser, then we can go look at it. Let's see. There we go. Your app is running. So if I click View App, there we go. Now we can see our app in the browser with our changes reflected. It says, I love BYU. So that's basically it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'll be talking about how to set up a simple database and get everything configured so that we can start working between different pages and things like that. So looking forward to working with you guys.